God known to each of us, provide the strength and wisdom to perform the duties and fulfill the responsibilities required by our oaths of office. May our actions be pleasing to God and meet the expectations of the citizens we serve. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order for February 6th, 2024. Council members, you have minutes from January 16th for you. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any questions, comments, or otherwise about the minutes from January 16th? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is public comments. We have no one signed to speak this evening, so we will go right into the new business as there is no old business to deal with this evening. Item A is consideration approval of an ordinance 2024-01 approving amendments to the personnel rules of the Village of Barboursville on first reading. You do have the ordinance before you, and just as a matter of letting you know what's going on, because we can't have a discussion tonight, it is a policy regarding our personnel policies regarding sexual harassment. Holly Chibble, who is our human resource administrator here, is here this evening, although, again, we can't have a discussion, but it is at the request of our insurance company, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So this policy change, although we're going through a full review of all our policies and procedures, will be one that is needed for insurance renewal that we have coming up in the coming year. Did I hit all the high points?
You got it.
Okay. And this was an opportunity to give you guys a chance to meet Holly if you have not before. She's not been to a council meeting, so I think we've officially welcomed her several times, but to put a face with the name for you guys.
I live so far away, it's hard to get here.
So I'll entertain a motion to have the first reading,
Uh,
and
I make a motion that we have first reading of ordinance 2024-01.
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Again, just for a matter of record, next time if there's questions, comments, or otherwise, we can have a discussion on the second reading. The second item is construction of approval of a bid award for the demolition of the antiques building located at 724 rear Main Street. I'm gonna let Danny speak to this, about the bid prices, and they had an on-site bid, so I'll turn it over to you, Danny.
Okay, we advertised for a mandatory on-site meeting prior to the bid being due, and we had 4 contractors showed up, and then we had 3 that bid, but there was another one that submitted a bid, but it didn't make it to the recorder's office on time. It was here at City Hall, but it wasn't in her office, but it really didn't matter because they were the high bid. So anyhow, the low bid is, as you can see on your sheet, is Echo Construction for $17,500. And they were about $8,500 lower than anybody else. And
Make your recommendation.
Yes.
So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the Street Department Public Works Director.
I make the motion.
There is a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussions or questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. What's really keeping us from doing this? Don't we have a good bit of equipment that we could accomplish this?
We don't have the right equipment to do that, and you have to haul the material to an approved site, probably somewhere over in Ohio or Kentucky.
The other concern was the proximity to the blue building next door. It's not to say our guys can't tear something down, but we'd rather be in an open space if it's gonna be close to another building or business. I think that was the other thing. Somebody who specialized in demolition was probably a little better than, and probably could do a better job than we could.
So their qualifications are the same, I mean, they're insured and
Yes.
that kind of
All
thing.
that was in
It's just kind of surprising how big of a difference or how much lower they were than anyone else.
Yeah, I was surprised at that too,
Yeah.
and I had the thought to call them and see if they missed something or wanted to withdraw their bid, but I didn't get in touch with them. Then I asked a couple of other people, and they said they do good work, so.
And the antique building has, refresh my memory, where is that? And is it our? on
It's the building that we
property?
purchased beside the Star Wars.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the one that we planned for demolition
Museum.
for
The
additional parking.
museum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the-
the
yes.
museum.
the
They're gonna tear
museum.
down the museum for this? Wow, 17.5?
Artwork's worth more than
I
that.
get it. You go sell some bricks? Thank
We
you.
thought we'd just take the painted wall and stick it in your backyard.
I didn't realize they had a Main Street address.
Rear Main Street. If you'd like, for old times, Danny can give you the key so you can go take a look.
Check that out.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for the approval of the low bid of 17.5 from Echo.
Just one more question, did we have a time frame on that bid? Did we ask them to have it done by a certain,
To be completed by April 1st.
thank you.
I probably one of us should have mentioned that, but yeah, sorry. All in those bid specs too, Donnie, just for the sake of what you asked about insurance and their qualifications, that was all spec'd out of that bid, and they all came to the pre-bid with that understanding. So, okay, we're at 17, the recommendation from Public Works and our street department director is to accept the bid of 17.5 from Echo. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments, or otherwise? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is consideration approval of bid award for replacement of 2012 Ford Expedition. Danny can cover this too, but this is a 2012 vehicle. Our mechanics have mandated this as much as they can. It's time for replacement. You went out to look at state contract and then took bids, correct?
They don't have a state contract.
Nothing on state contract,
No.
that's what it was, okay. Two bids, and what, do you wanna cover the bids with them?
Yeah, actually, I called and had 2 or 3 other quotes. I called Stevens at Madison, who used to have the statewide purchase order. And they said it'd be 4 to 6 months before they could even find something. And the only 2 bids that came in was Goldie Auto, and it was for a Jeep Wagoneer at $76,000 about. And then the low bid was Joe Holland at $62,000, and then they will give us $8,000 for our vehicle. So that makes the total price $54,128.
That is the public works supervisor, a replacement vehicle, so. If there's no other questions, or I'll entertain a motion to replace the vehicle.
I'll make a motion to replace the 2012 Ford Expedition.
A second.
Any further discussion?
Well, number one, are we saying we're replacing it with the Tahoe, or what are we saying?
We're replacing with the low bid
Yeah,
Tahoe,
low bid
yes.
Tahoe.
Tahoe, okay.
Yeah, replacing with the Tahoe, taking the one that we have in on trade-in, they're gonna give them $8,000 for, and put that towards the cost of the vehicle.
I do have another question though. What's the need for the large, full-size SUV versus like what everybody else drives? Like, do we haul with it, or?
Not to embarrass you, but stand up, Dave.
Ah, okay.
He'll get my Suburban sometimes, and I'm seriously not trying to embarrass you.
I
but
don't
when he
have that
gets-
problem.
Nor do I.
You got me.
That's why.
Yeah,
Danny
all
ever
right.
chooses to retire.
Danny, this is a hard room. Let me tell you something.
We don't mind to be candid
I've
around.
told him this before, they're gonna miss him when he's gone.
Yeah, we are for sure.
Is this a budgeted item, or is it not, or is?
It'll be taken from excess, and for the record, all we've usually budgeted, we didn't budget for the replacement vehicle this year, did we, John?
No.
Okay, so we'll make it a budget amendment to make the purchase of his vehicle. The police vehicles and everything else, we're trying to put on an amortization schedule, so they are part of the budget.
Yeah.
But because that vehicle, as you can well see, does not get replaced that often, it came to its final resting place here in the last week or two. So have we made a motion on this yet? Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is consideration of approval of a bid award for treatment of the grass soccer field at Deer Run Road. This is done periodically every 5-7 years. It's time to do that. Now, just for full disclosure, I've asked a few people to help us with the expense of this. It was a bid process, and I'll let Danny cover that in a second, but I've asked for West Virginia Soccer to see if they can help us come up with some money. I've asked tourism for some money, and I've asked from one of our own residents here who's well known to all of us, out of the Culture and History Office to see if they can't help us find some money as well. And I actually wrote an email to the county commission because the first time back in 2008 or 9, whenever the first tournament was, the county commission actually helped fund that first time they did it. So I did send a letter to them as well. Having said that, it's time to get this work moving, and it's our property, we need to do it anyway, but I'm fingers crossed hoping we get some help on funding. Did you want to talk about your bids, Danny?
Actually, we only had one bid, and my estimate was $40,900, and the bid was $39,400. And there's two treatments that I specified. One was mechanical aeration, and the other one was liquid aeration. So if we choose to do one of those rather than two, he'll deduct $47.50 from that number. And there'll be 3 rounds of treatments, all prior to June 15th. And we were requested to do this by Lynn Rogers, who is the president of the West Virginia Soccer.
And they're gonna try to help us come up with some funding for it as well. I asked Dave Larrabee, the president of West Virginia Soccer, to see if they could help us out financially with the project.
And this is the fields to the
These
right.
are the,
when you
yeah,
come
these are
off
the
the
natural
road.
service fields on the right, where there's, what, 10 or 11 over there, Danny?
12.
12.
Is this like a true green surface?
For lack of better
Service.
term, I mean, being ignorant of the process, yes.
Okay.
There's pictures of before and after that we've got after
Oh,
they've
it is?
treated it, and it's
Yeah.
it is a noticeable difference.
So this aeration, is there seeding as well?
It's pre-emergent and fertilization, overspray with weed control, fertilizer, soil enrichment, mechanical aeration, which we probably won't do, but and then labor for the seeding, and then seed, and then the liquid aeration is the one we'll choose to do.
Another question. So what's the point of order if, so we approve this tonight and we go to this, and then we get a bunch of donations, how do we offset, how's that,
Well, we'll
Put
pay
together.
up front, and then we'll just bank whatever we get
we're
back
able,
from the
even if
support.
that was earmarked for that, we're able to
Yep.
put that back into the
Yep.
account? Okay.
They know we're gonna spend on it. I told them what we were gonna spend on it, but can you see if you can help the city out, is basically what the verbiage was and the talk was between myself and the other agencies. So what we do, just put it back into we just put it back into the park, just so you all know.
And so will we be deciding, are we gonna, if we don't need both kinds of treatment, is that something that we will, is there a recommendation to do that or to not do that? Or is it dependent on how it looks after?
One has a long-term effect and the other one has an immediate effect. And we're looking for the immediate effect, so we can be good by June 15th.
Well, certainly 2 treatments or 3.
Yeah, but we could choose 2
Certainly better than one.
treatments, yeah.
If you wanna.
So it'd be up to that bid, sans the $47.50. You'd be authorizing up to that bid from Grass
That
Busters.
would be up
Up
to,
to
Up to
39.
Up to
39.4.
39, right, up to 39.4. Sans
This
the,
is just through the season, correct?
pardon me,
Just through this season?
yeah,
Okay.
three treatments between March 1st and June 15th.
Okay.
And we don't do this every year.
no, we don't. It's just periodic.
12 years since we've done it.
No.
True Green does it 5 times a year.
About the time the expedition was running.
And again, just to clarify, we don't have the equipment to do this, is that, I mean,
Oh, no. Well, you have to be certified to.
the chemicals?
Chemicals.
Yes.
Cause Dixon's, they're not even certified to do it, that's why they didn't.
Who did not?
Dixon's, our regular lawn care and aesthetic landscaping company. Okay, so you have before you the proposal as recommended, to accept the bid from Grass Busters for the treatment of the natural service fields at Deer Run Road. I'll entertain a motion to
I'll make
there's
a
a,
motion to accept
we have a
that.
motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is to consider an approval of bid award for seasonal lawn care mowing for 2024. We did receive 2 bids from Dixon as well as Grassbusters. And as I understand, there was a slight difference in pricing overall, which is what we're looking at as far as what they care for. The difference was $500 between the two of them. My recommendation is to take the bid from Dixon's because their continuity of service, they've already been working here, and and we know what their work is. They've been doing it for a few years here now. And the amount from Dixon's was
$52,500.
and the amount from Grassbusters?
Grassbusters was, $54,000.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid for Dixon Lawn Care, 52.5.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bid from Dixon Lawn Care. Any further discussion,
I
questions?
do have a question. Did we add or take away anything from what we've had previously? Just cover the flower beds?
Yes, we added the Lions Club field.
That's
No.
my question.
Yeah. We had planned on, I think we discussed that collectively when we took over the Lions Club to make sure that was always done. But that's the only addition.
And where do we sit from last year? Do we have that number that we can compare? Do we know where that went?
I think it was 45.
I think it was a
42,
little around 45,
42,
46,000,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
The Little League field, I mean, does it include, inside the fence, or is it outside the fence too, or is it,
Both
is
and
it
the
everything?
cemetery.
Huh?
And the cemetery,
And the cemetery?
yes.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. Both graves up there?
Several graves.
Paul says you sell your flag.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Probably something for sale, okay.
Today.
Just a quick question,
Nice
what
knowing you.
is this, what is the sanitary board part of this bid? What is that?
Well, that's mowing around the lagoon. They'll pay their portion for the lagoon.
Oh, okay,
And yeah,
okay.
them mowing around the lagoon takes them away from doing work on the sanitary sewer system, and we have plenty of work on the sanitary sewer system
So
right now.
why is, the sanitary board, why is there a differential of $2,000 between?
That's the difference in the bid from one company to the next. One company had the lower bid for the sanitary board, and the other one had, it's
It
just,
was a separate,
the total
Separate
cost though from both companies is why we went with Dixon.
okay.
Because they were,
And last year, Grassbusters did the lagoon and Dixon did the town. So that's the same.
So we just
thing.
paired it up this
Same
year.
scenario this
Okay.
year. If the sanitary board
Yeah, right.
chooses it that way, it's up to them.
Sanitary board to have their meeting and,
To decide.
sure.
So it has to be, it's an all or nothing, it can't, because I see that Grassbusters was lower on the sanitary board and Dixon was lower on the rest.
They really could pick a different.
They could,
sanitary board.
sanitary board could pick.
So we're only doing the all other, which is us, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're not doing the sanitary board.
Well, they'll vote on it. They'll have to vote on their.
Okay, I got you.
too. Yeah.
We can't
Okay,
spend
well, that'd make everybody happy if they went that direction. Okay.
Further discussion?
Suddenly it makes sense, thank
Do
you.
we have a motion on this yet?
Yes.
A second?
Yes, we do.
Okay, if there's no further discussion or questions, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. The last item on our agenda is consideration approval resolution 2024-2 approving additional funds to West Virginia Division of Highways for the sum of $60,000 for the required 20% match of Barboursville pedestrian bicycle path. You wanna talk about this? Why don't you go ahead?
Yes, these plans are about 5 years old, is that correct? And, the project was let about a year ago, and then subsequent to that time, a slip came in the road. So they had to halt the project and then do additional core borings and design of a different wall. So this time, they're gonna go with, instead of the, block walls that you stack on top of each other, they're gonna do a piling, soldier pile wall with lagging. So, the additional cost was, I don't know, did you give them
60,
that?
yeah.
sheet?
60,000.
60,000.
Well, the original, the additional cost is about $525,000. And then if you deduct out of that the original price for the block wall, which I think was short anyway, the difference is $300,000. And the federal highway put their $240,000, which is 80% of the $300,000. That leaves us 20% of 300, which is $60,000. Now, this Actually, I was telling the mayor before the meeting, it's a blessing in disguise, because if this thing had gotten built, according to the agreement, we're responsible to maintain it. So it's actually a good thing that we know this now, and we get $240,000 free dollars, for the repair of that.
I will tell you, being fiscally conservative, I did send an email to the cabinet secretary and say, we'd really like to just pay 20% of the $60,000 if you all could make that work. Haven't gotten an answer yet, but I did go ahead and ask the question. All I can say is no.
Well, we approved this project a long time ago, so I'm all for, adding the additional 60,000 to get that thing moving. So.
Thank you. Is that your motion, sir?
That's my motion, yes.
There's a motion and a second to approve the additional funding of $60,000 for the shared path in Barboursville Park. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Actually, the contractor's here.
Oh yeah, why don't you
He's ready to go to
introduce our
work.
guest, Danny?
Yeah, this is Benchmark Construction. He's got the contract for that. His name is Tim Spradlin. He's been around a long time.
Yeah, I've been working with Danny here, this is going on 3 years. We did your all's equestrian trail.
Yes.
Originally with the DOH, and that was a fiasco as well with
That's another fun one.
not with the town, with the DOH. It's,
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Well, like Danny said, we bid this job in April to perform it starting in about May or June, usually what happens, to be done by November. We didn't get a contract until late summer, and we got a fall start right about the time weather started turning bad, so we're anxious to get started back.
Tim, thanks for being here tonight.
I appreciate
It's always
you
good
having
to
me.
see you, my
Thank
friend. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Anyone, department heads, you guys have anything for good of the order? If not, we will start with you tonight, Rachel.
Thank you all for coming. That's all I have.
Thank you all for coming, and Danny, thank the guys. We're out walking all the time, and I see them constantly around town doing things, so thank them for their job.
Danny, thanks for the bullet points of all y'all do. I think that it's nice to see it in writing, because we just see everything looking awesome that we sometimes take for granted what all it takes to make it awesome. So thank your guys for keeping this a great place to live.
Same thing with me, Danny. Thank you very much. I know you put a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, but my side, I say thank you from all of us. Thank you very much.
This was the Danny meeting tonight.
It
wasn't
was,
it?
it's good. It's a thank you meeting. Thank you.
You would ask for Grand Wagoneer, had you done.
Mayor, you may have some competition.
More power to him.
I just want to recognize the trout that got stocked at the pond, at the park, in the lake, and I guess we're getting the additional stocking this year. So I think it was Andre that might have pursued that. So I just want to speak up and say I appreciate that work, and hope some people are enjoying it. I know a few people are enjoying it.
Son-in-law's pretty happy too.
And then Easter plans. How are we on track with the big normal
Yes, they're
routine?
good. Normal stuff. I think there's a couple other things that are being sponsored by the local businesses. They've taken it over as their event. We're gonna help fund it, of course. It started as ours, but I don't know if you guys have seen what Melody Fry's doing this weekend. It's a kind of a throwback to Three's Company, and we're helping them with just an alley closure during that event. It's just from like 3 to 5, I think, on Saturday. But the Mother's Day tea that typically the CBB handles, Melody Fry's going to handle that out of the venue. We're still going to sell tickets and all that stuff, but we'll be more hands-off. And that weekend actually is especially busy for Parks Rec and the CBB, because that's also the same weekend as the Vineyard and Village. So all those things are on track for spring events, and I hope everybody's taking advantage of seeing the events in the newsletter. 2, the QR code that's on there, you can get updates to right here. I know a lot of people were very complimentary about get notifications of garbage pickup, street clearance during the snow, which brings me to another point, Danny. I got several emails and correspondence about their performance during the recent snow event, as well as the police department chief. So I'll pass all those along to you, and y'all can file those appropriately. But they were very complimentary of all of your guys, so we appreciate them a ton. But yes, to answer your question, all events on track.
And then just one more question, recycle gate. Are we working on getting that? Is it fixed yet, or we?
I don't know if it's fixed now.
FNL's got a box ordered for that. Yeah.
And also, just for the record about recycling, glad you brought that up. We received 2 additional bins from the Solid Waste Authority at no cost. So we should be able to have a better handle on recycling over there as far as stuff being on the ground and whatnot. They did have to add, I think, 25 people onto our, with their key fobs, just up from this end of the county, since another entity, I won't go into details, another entity decided to close one of their locations. So they moved about 25 or so people onto our gate, but they're still paying.
They
And
provided
those
two
two bins,
dumpsters.
yep, those two bins were at no cost to us.
Great. That's all I had, thanks.
Well, with a little bit of effort, you can, manually open that thing up, which I found out a little while ago. No,
That's not.
thank you for, all the city employees, thank you for everything you do, and, since the weather is gonna be horrible in the next couple weeks, we're gonna thank you in advance for what you're going to do, and thank you for the audience. It's nice to be able to talk to somebody instead of hear an echo in the halls, but, that's all I got. Thank you.
All right, is there anything else we can do to the order? Thank you everybody for coming, we will adjourn the meeting.